Yeah, guys, I want to talk about. There's a line in the Bible where it says that a prophet is a prophet everywhere but in his own home, in his own country, in his own nation. And I want to discuss that as it relates to my life experience. And it's been it's been completely congruent. It's been completely congruous with my life, completely analogous, meaning that it proved itself to be true even before I was aware of that verse. I was aware of this truth, and for me it started extremely early. I experienced rejection from my own mother, straight from birth. She was so opposing to me in every way, and it was in many ways she was like an anti-mother, because instead of nurturing me, she kind of held me back, you know. She kind of stunted my growth, stunted my development, when she was supposed to be nurturing my development. And she really tried to break down my self-esteem, my self-belief, and she just acted like an overall saboteur and enemy from day one. And that was hard to deal with, you know. That set a very difficult tone for my life. And it didn't stop with the mother, because the father was like the mother on crack. My father was a much more intense, hateful version of my mother, combined with alcoholism. And so he was like a terrorist in my life. Completely terrorized me for probably the first 20 years of my life. I was terrorized and petrified by my own father. And he acted the same way my mother did. He stunted my growth. He harmed my self-esteem. And man, if I didn't know any better, I would have said these people were genuinely trying to drive me to suicide, you know. That's how much they were. That's how heavy their campaigns were, their emotional abuse campaigns were. And as a child, yeah, I was heavily suicidal as a child because of this, you know. But it didn't stop with the parents, guys. You know, when I left the family home to go to school, I had the same treatment in school. It was like the whole school was just against me, guys. Not just the students, but the educators, the teachers, the principals. My God, guys, it was just like I couldn't do anything right. You know what I mean? In their eyes, I was just I was sullied. I was sullied from day one. And in their eyes, I was just undesirable. I was no good, and there was nothing I could do, guys. You know, I was just I was always the black sheep. You know, I was always the scapegoat in school. You know, and I remember one particular incident. We had like a Christmas play where all the parents would come and see the kids in the play, and for some reason the principal pulled me out of the play at the last minute, and she never notified my parents. And they took time off work, and they sat through the whole play, and they never saw me, and they were wondering what the heck happened. And when the play was over, my father was extremely irate, and I remember he went into the principal's office, and he shut the door behind him, and sounded like a war in there. But when he came out, I remember that principal. She was never the same woman after that, and I mean that in the best possible way. She was a changed woman after that. She went from being a cold-blooded reptilian to being just a kind-hearted, good woman. And it was like it took the fear of God. It took my father to go into that office with her, close the door behind her, and put the fear of God in her. It took that to change that woman's life, you know. But I remember it changed her. It really did. I never seen such a profound change in a person. Well, you know, my dad was that kind of terrifying kind of person. You know, he could have that kind of terrifying effect on people. And it didn't end there, guys. You know, I thought when I got out of school, maybe it would finally stop there. You know, maybe when I get out into the working world, into the college world, And no, it was the same story, guys. It was, and even to this day, wherever I go in my home nation, it's like me against the world everywhere, It's like I'm the black sheep there, I'm the scapegoat there. And it takes me back to that line, the prophet is a prophet everywhere, but in his own home and in his own nation. And he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. That's how I feel here, guys. It's like I'm just biding my time to get out of here because I don't feel like I can do anything good here, I feel like the people here, their hearts are just hardened, you know what I mean, guys? Their hearts are just hardened towards me, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it, And I do have like a contrast, because I lived in the United States for 5 years, and I lived in Spain for a year, so I've lived in other countries, and I've experienced people treating me better, I've experienced people treating me just like normally, you know what I mean, like equally, fairly, just giving me a chance to prove myself before I'm prejudged and condemned, And honestly, the whole time, guys, the whole 5 years I was in the US, I never once felt that feeling. I never once felt that feeling that like a prophet is a prophet everywhere, but in his own home. No, man, I was totally beloved there. I was beloved. And it was like heaven and hell, guys, Living in Ireland, it's always been like hell for me, because it's like the whole country has just been against me from day one, and I have no idea why, guys, I have no idea why, but it's always been like the word Comanche. The word Comanche means they who are against me always, and that was the word that the indigenous Americans gave for the hostile rogue tribe, the Comanche tribe, which it didn't work cooperatively with the other tribes. It was a hostile rogue tribe, and so they called it the Comanche tribe, because it wasn't the true indigenous tribe. It was mixed with the Spanish, and so it was like a half-blooded tribe, Mongol tribe, and it was causing trouble all the time, for the other nations. So one of the most notorious nations. That's kind of how I feel here, I feel like the Irish have been my Comanche nation. And, I'm one of them. I was born, I have an Irish passport, I'm an Irish person, but they don't recognize me, guys, And because of that, guys, I've always wanted to just go to America and just leave Ireland in my past, And that's like an insult that people throw at me a lot, that I'm unpatriotic, I want to join a new country and all this and that. But you know what, guys? Who's the real fool? You know what I mean? The one who clings to their country of origin while it kicks them and beats them and spits on them and pisses all over them and tells them it's rain. The one who clings to that like a fool, indefinitely. Who's wiser? Or the one who goes on vacation, on a tour to a nation that's not their nation of birth, and finds they're treated fairly, they're treated kindly, they're treated with respect. There's a saying that goes, go where you are celebrated, not where you are tolerated, And here in Ireland, I've not even been tolerated. Forget about celebrated. I haven't even been tolerated, So what loyalty do I hold to these people, to these abusive, unkind, cold souls who've just prejudged me and made me their black sheep, made me their scapegoat? What do I owe them? Absolutely nothing, guys. And I will close my chapter on Ireland in my book, and I will close it permanently, and I will never revisit it, And to me, I'll just chalk it down to that Bible line, The prophet is the prophet everywhere but in his own home. He did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. And I'm tired, guys, of putting all my efforts into people and having nothing to show for it. That time is up for me now. I'm ready to start reaping the fruits of my labors. And I'm not talking about material rewards. or accolades or any of man's prizes. What I'm talking about is actually seeing the effect that you can have on people when you try to help them, when you try to guide them, when you try to enlighten them, when you try to turn them back towards God. I want to see some results. I don't want to feel like I'm just pissing in the wind. You know what I mean? Preaching to gangs of demons. You know, throwing pearls before swine and just watching them be devoured endlessly. You know, and that's been my life cycle. And I'm tired of it, guys. You know what I mean? I want to keep my pearls for the people who will wear them with glory and not devour them like pigs, you know? So, that's it, guys. That's my relationship with my country of origin. And I remember there was a scene in the Game of Thrones with the Hound. And the Hound was like the king's right-hand man. But the king was a corrupt scumbag. And the city was being sacked by the enemies. You know, and the Hound was out there fighting, trying to save the city. And he lost so many men, he came back to the castle for some respite. And the king was there screaming at him to get back out there, dog. Dog, he called him. And I remember he looked at the king, he looked at the city, and he said, fuck the King's Guard, fuck the king, and fuck the city. And that's how I feel at this stage, guys. Fuck this place, you know what I mean? I'm out of here. Y'all don't know what you lost, but you will know when I'm gone.